Where did the tough survivor Eustace Conway from Mountain Men go? He has been the face of living in the woods for years, showing us how to do well without electricity or water and enjoy the rough beauty of nature. Fans have recently noticed something strange, though. There has been no Eustace on the show. Did he finally hang up his boots? Has he started a crazy new journey that the cameras couldn't catch? Or is there more to his absence than meets the eye? Stay tuned, because we're going to dive deep into life. What will happen to one of the most interesting outdoor people on TV in the future? Some people know Eustace Conway as the star of TV shows that make you think about how long you could last in the wild. But before all that, he was already famous because of The Last American Man by Elizabeth Gilbert and Adventures in the Simple Life by Sarah Vowell. Why? Because Eustace isn't like other outdoorsmen. He is a real forest wizard. There's something about that guy that makes him look more at ease in the jungle than in our living rooms with Wi-Fi. To be honest, the mountain man's long hair, simple clothes, and hands that look like they could make a log house out of toothpicks only add to his mystery. How did Eustace Conway become Eustace Conway? Let's go back. He is the son of Eustace Robinson Conway and Karen Conway. He was born in Columbia, South Carolina in 1961. Three of his brothers are named Judson, Walton, and Martha. But let's be honest, none of them live off the land on TV. That's why the attention is on him today. Eustace loved outdoors from a very young age. Some people think it had a lot to do with how often his family moved. His training was based on everything earthy, whether it was true or not. His mom and grandparents weren't really into technology. They liked trees, animals, and activities that got dirt under your fingers more. Eustace actually slept outside for the first 17 years of his life. Eustace was camping in the mountains near Asheville, North Carolina, while the rest of us were in cozy houses in the suburbs. Also, the land he lived on was part of Camp Sequoia, which his grandfather started in 1928. Even though he grew up in a normal Piedmont suburb, he started training in the woods a long time before the TV cameras came out. Yes, here is the edit with a more casual and funny tone that keeps it smooth and easy to understand. If someone says they grew up in the woods and lived off the land, you might think their family was having a hard time making ends meet. That's not the case with Eustace Conway, though. His grandparents and parents were educated in more ways than one. There was no doubt that they were smart and interested in nature. The forest wasn't just a pretty place for a picnic for them. It was where they did research. It was their favorite thing to do, to watch nature, do projects, and treat the outdoors like their own Discovery Channel. Both Eustace and his dad, Eustace Robinson Conway, were very smart. He was a great professor of chemical engineering who knew a lot about the periodic table and nature. Often he took young Eustace on trips, like whitewater paddling trips and trips to find plants. In the time it took him to learn how to make baskets and paddle through rapids, Eustace became skilled in many things. The kid could do everything: swim, rock climb, ride a horse, shoot an arrow, you name it. He looked a lot like a Swiss Army knife. All of this wasn't enough for Eustace, though. He was ready for something bigger or quieter by age 17. A lot of people might call it youth rebellion, but I think it was just plain smart of him to leave home and live in a teepee in the woods. A teepee, yes, a lot of kids were begging for later curfews and obsessed over their high school crushes. But Eustace learned how to make a fire and roast his dinner. He thought of what some people might call roughing it as freedom. And boy, did he make the most of his freedom. Eustace lived off the land for more than 17 years and learned so many survival skills that they made your favorite TV prepper look like a child. He built shelters, planted crops, gathered food, and went hunting wherever nature and his whims took him. One of his best moves? Getting a fire going from start. Eustace would have been with you on your last camping trip, so you wouldn't have needed a lighter or a 10-page guide. Let's think about how the man dressed. Put away your Gucci and Armani. Eustace's clothes were made of real buckskin. It wasn't fancy, but it kept him warm and safe and fit right in with his naturalist lifestyle. It was durable, useful, and great for storing tools. Eustace lived in style while living in the woods, but that wasn't enough for Eustace. The man could have started his own line of rural clothes. He looked forward to excitement, and he got it. Eustace was always pushing the edges of what a person could handle. He did things like canoeing 1,000 miles down the Mississippi River, hiking the 2,000-mile Appalachian Trail barefoot, and kayaking along the icy Alaskan coast with icebergs and whales. Then there was the time he hiked all the way from North America to Europe. Yes, you did read that right. This person didn't just go to the park. He took it over. Eustace did more than just enjoy the views on these trips. He also got along with other people. He became friends with many tribes, mostly native groups that lived in peace with nature. He learned more than just how to stay alive from these experiences. They helped him learn more about different cultures and the balance of nature. Like Eustace always did, he didn't just pass through these places, he lived with them, getting new ideas that changed the way he thought about life and people. There's more, though. Eustace did more than just roam. Besides being an outdoor guide, he also had some pretty normal jobs. In New Mexico, he worked as a government interpreter in Chaco Canyon National Park. In North Carolina, he worked as a state naturalist in Crowder Mountain Park. He was perfect in both parts. Imagine having one of the best naturalists in the world help you build your park. Crowder Mountain did very well while he was in charge. That Eustace did not only live in nature, he thrived. Since both of Eustace's parents and grandparents loved teaching, it was only a matter of time before he became a teacher himself. He started giving talks about ecological disasters and sustainable living based on his deep understanding of Native American culture, environmental ethics, and way of life. He became a well-known environmental activist and a popular teacher because of his unique point of view and real-life experience. The life of Eustace Conway is a mix of a wilderness lesson and a reality show. His struggles and adventures taught us how people can change to their surroundings, not just how to stay alive in the wild. Whether it was a close call with danger or a hard-won victory, Eustace told stories about them that taught and entertained his readers. And let's be honest, how many people can say that their favorite hobby became a full-time job with pay? Eustace is real proof that you can follow your dreams, though it might help if your dream is to stay alive in the woods. You would never guess that Eustace is famous or rich at first look. He doesn't look like a popular TV personality at all. His long hair, buckskin clothes, and simple style make him look like someone who stepped out of a time machine. But don't be fooled by how raw it looks. The money in this guy's bank account doesn't lie. With a net worth of more than $200,000, Eustace owns a huge piece of land and runs Turtle Island Preserve, a charity that is now worth millions. Who knew that living like it's the 1800s could make you so much money? There is more to Turtle Island than just a piece of land. It's Eustace's dream project. He put everything on the line to buy 30 acres, which he later grew to more than 1,000 acres, all of which are used to protect nature and teach people how to be self-sufficient. You could think of it as his Disneyland, but with fewer roller coasters and more goats to milk. The place is run by a nonprofit and combines history, nature, and a quick crash lesson in how to survive. It takes me back to the good old days before electronics and pizza delivery took over. Turtle Island is all about being able to do things on your own. People grow gardens, pick food from them, and cook it. People make their own tools, use plants to make medicines, and build fires to keep warm, cook food, and even melt metals. As for what to expect if you go, don't expect a five-star property. The places to stay are cozy, basic huts made from bamboo and logs. Don't bother with fancy bathrooms or kitchens. You are roughing it like Eustace. It's probably for the best, to be honest. In a wooden house, no one wants to start a fire in the kitchen. Eustace had a simple plan for Turtle Island. Protect a small area of Earth that hasn't been changed in any way, and let people live their lives without being interrupted by modern things. He wanted to show everyone what Earth looked like before people, evolution, and natural events changed it. Even Eustace had to give in on some things, even though he's mostly been able to keep the place true to its roots. To begin with, he's become a little easier to reach over the years. He used to hide out in the woods for months, but now he's willing to meet people, be interviewed, and share his information with everyone. Oh, and he's also changed what he wears. Eustace changed his clothes a little. He wore pants, a shirt, and sometimes a hat to protect his face from the sun. It's a small change, but even mountain guys deserve to look better. Eustace Conway's life shows that you can be happy and successful without Wi-Fi or a flat-screen TV. As he milked goats, built fires, or lived out his dream on Turtle Island. People are inspired to connect with nature by the unique way he's made. And let's be honest, how many of us could even make it through a weekend in the woods, let alone a lifetime of it? Eustace isn't just roughing it on the land, he's living the good life. Eustace Conway may have started out as a regular mountain man, but now he's a real star in the world of living in the wild. Magazines have written about him. He's been interviewed so many times that he can't keep track. When he wants to be in the spotlight, he even gave Elizabeth Gilbert ideas for her book, The Last American Man. If you've read the book, you'll know him from the back cover. He looks like he walked out of a frontier survival guide, calm, tough, and completely unbothered by the chaos of modern life. Some people, besides Gilbert, also paid attention to Eustace. Radio shows like Sarah Vowell's Adventures in the Simple Life and Ira Glass have helped him get a lot of fans. This Life in America. Of course, he is best known for his role as Turtle Island Preserve on the History Channel show Mountain Men. At the beginning of the show, Eustace taught people how to be self-sufficient and connect with nature. It was kind of like his version of Netflix and chill, but with goats and fires. He didn't stop there, though. He chose to add more guest-friendly facilities to Turtle Island so that people could enjoy nature without feeling like they walked into the castaway set by accident. As word got around, Eustace became very famous very quickly. He went from being the town's strange woodsman to a national star, inspiring a new generation of naturalists who want to learn how to live a simple life from him. Not surprisingly, just when Eustace thought he was finally ready to retire in peace, a case threw someone else at him. Someone said that his favorite land didn't meet some government requirements. Really, who needs rules when you can milk goats and build a fire from scratch? As usual, Eustace fought back with grit and drive, and in the end he won. He made up the story that he was a fighter, which brought even more people to Mountain Men to see the real man behind the fame. But just when it looked like Eustace and Mountain Men would get along great, he quit the show, which shocked everyone. Bring on the whispers. Was it the cash? The fame? The camera teams that never stop? Just like Eustace always did, the answer was very simple. For a man who has always been free. Being watched by everyone all the time started to feel like a cage. The cameras and planned episodes didn't really scream one with nature. Eustace has always written about how great it is to live on his own terms and be close to nature. That didn't really include the constant attention and possibly a lot of paperwork. For those who know Eustace, they know why he left. Fans may miss seeing him on TV. How can you teach about how beautiful nature is when you have to avoid camera drones and filming schedules? Eustace Conway is still doing what he loves, even though he isn't on TV anymore. People who live simply, give others hope, and tell us that sometimes the best way to connect with the world is to disconnect. Plus, who needs a camera crew when you have goats and a few acres of peace and quiet? Fans have thought that Eustace Conway's choice to leave Mountain Men might have been caused by broken hearts. After all, it takes time to get over losing a close friend and adventure partner. Preston Roberts was Eustace's right-hand man for more than 35 years, so he wasn't just a cast member. They overcame problems, broke down barriers, and possibly told each other more inside jokes than we can remember. Their friendship went beyond what the cameras saw, so when Preston died of liver cancer in the 6th season of the show, it was very sad. He felt it a lot. Losing someone so close can make you question everything, so it makes sense that Eustace found comfort in the woods, where he feels most at ease. But sadness isn't the only idea going around about Eustace's death. Some fans think it might also have something to do with how often new group members join Mountain Men. Some people have been with the show for a long time, but it's been going on for over 10 years. Take Marty Mayorado, who is a fan favorite, as an example. It's understandable that he quit the show to focus on his relationship with God, but it's kind of funny that cameras are following him around in the middle of nowhere. Morgan Beasley, on the other hand, packed up to explore Alaska with his wife Margaret in search of a calmer behind the scenes. For Eustace, who has always valued his link to nature over the demands of TV production, seeing his friends and co-stars slowly leave may have been the turning point. If a film crew keeps pulling you back on the grid, what's the point of life off the grid? Also, don't forget the less exciting ones, like when he lost his truck while loading wood planks. Man who tamed the wild might have found his match in a stack of lumber. It could be because of grief, stress, or just too many cameras getting in the way of his peace that made him want to run away into the woods for good. To be honest, Eustace wants to stay true to himself, even if that means going back to his comfort zone in the trees. Isn't that what Mountain Men is all about? Living your life the way you want to. This time Eustace is doing what he says, but this time there are no boom mics. Let's talk about that Eustace Conway from Mountain Men. For those of you who have been following along, you know that Eustace is very close to his truck. When he thought fixing it might not be possible, the man looked like he had aged 10 years in a flash. He seemed to be remembering every log that truck had ever hauled as they flashed across his face. Here's where things get interesting or a little scary for the poor guy. Based on how you look. We've met new people in season 11 like Martha and Eli. But where is Eustace? In fact, he's not there. You might as well skip an episode of your favorite comedy with its best character. Fans were already coming up with crazy ideas. Is Eustace leaving his job? Is he off the grid working on a big nature project? Or did he just decide to take a much-needed break? Get some popcorn ready, because the action didn't last long. It looks like our guy is coming back. He is already at the top of the list of people who will be in the next season. People, the crisis is over. It looks like Eustace is still teaching us how to stay alive. Eustace is having the best time of his life even when he's not on TV. A lot of people follow this man online, and he's still doing what he does best, getting out into nature and showing others how to do the same. In fact, he's been making waves in schooling with programs that teach everyone how to survive in the outdoors. A lot of basic skills and tips on how to stay safe in the woods. The best part is that it's all nonprofit. Talk about helping others. People of all ages are learning how to live off the land. That's the height of Eustace, if that isn't it. Eustace once said that you have to love and feel nature before you can care enough to protect it. That person is as angry as someone who probably made fire that morning by rubbing two sticks together. For good measure, he adds a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I can't hear what you're saying because what you do is so loud and stands above you. Very deep, right? But then, in the middle of a thought, he stops and his eyes light up. Wow. That squirrel up in that white oak is the biggest one I've seen all week. Philosophy and comments on wildlife are like two tennis players. But Eustace sees how everything fits together. At his Turtle Island Preserve near Boone, he teaches people about the beauty of nature to help them get back in touch with nature. Thousands of people have come to experience this old-fashioned way of life, from school kids to business people who ditch their PowerPoint slideshows in favor of bow drill fire making. Since then, stories about his life in the woods have grown. He got degrees at Appalachian State while living off the land and rocking buckskin. He also walked the Appalachian Trail and rode across the U.S. on horseback, because that was more unique than driving. After that, he started Turtle Island Preserve. For the past 22 years, he's taught people how to give up Wi-Fi for nature and live more closely with nature. It's rough and old, and if you ask Eustace, that's how things should be in life. Okay, let's talk about the question that everyone has had for years. Eustace Conway, is he married? It doesn't look like the short answer. He hasn't told anyone about his private life. There were no wedding bands or Instagram posts with a mysterious partner. Eustace was just living his life, going on one crazy trip after another. Really, isn't that what makes him so interesting? He tells us that living an honest life sometimes means going against the crowd.